Greetings everyone, G.I. Joey here. In today's video we are going to take a look at the custom figures that I have made from one of my favorite video game series, Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 2 and 3 and so on. Before we get too far in today's video, I'd like to give a shout out to our friend at Unreal Estate Arts for making this diorama you see before you today. It was made for my wife as a Christmas gift given to her by her boss. Super awesome present, super awesome diorama. So I'll have a link below and you can check out their page. So Resident Evil was the very first game I ever played on the PlayStation. I bought mine at my local Babbage's along with my PlayStation. I had no idea what game to play, and they recommended me the long box version of Resident Evil 1, and I think I stayed up all that night to beat it. I've been hooked ever since. I've made customs so far for Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, including the remakes, and I have customs planned for Resident Evil 4, and I think I have another one planned from Resident Evil 3, so I got a lot in the works. Resident Evil's, again, one of my favorite series of all time. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the figures I've made, starting with Here is Leon Kennedy from the Resident Evil 2 remake. Leon was the first of the Resident Evil figures that I made, and I still think he's probably one of my favorites. I love how he turned out. So when I make custom figures, I have a huge bin of spare G.I. Joe parts, and when I know what figure I want to make, I dig through them to find parts that are suitable or really close, and then I do additional sculpting if needed, which most of the times there are. But for Leon here, there wasn't a whole lot that I had to do. So for his base parts, I used Repeater and Mutt's legs. I used Law's waist because they had the great handcuffs and stuff on the back, which was perfect for a rookie police officer. I used Sci-Fi version 2's head, which I think he had black hair, and I just painted it brown because it was that perfect Scott Baio parted in the middle looking hair. I used Hardball's arms. I used Shockwave version 3's chest, and I think all I had to do there was Dremel off. I think there were some grenades or something in the front, so I had to Dremel those off. And then for sculpting, not a whole lot of additional sculpting. I think I sculpted the elbow pads and knee pads, and then I sculpted the radio that he's got up here. But Leon was a really straightforward figure, not a whole lot of extra sculpting for him. I added the RPD logo as well as the RPD badges on either side, and then just gave him a repaint. And I absolutely love how that one turned out. One of the first ones, actually the first one, but still one of my favorites. So here we have Claire Redfield from the Resident Evil 2 remake. She was the second figure I made in my Resident Evil series. Probably my favorite of all the Resident Evil characters. So for Claire, I used CoverGirl's chest because she had that great jacket that was perfect for Claire. I used Lady J's waist, Tollbooth's legs, Jinx's arms, Zorana's head, and lots of sculpting. So for Zorana, this one took a lot of sculpting just because Zorana has the round head peg, and I used CoverGirl's chest, which has the square peg. So I had to take a square peg and Dremel off Zorana, the bottom of her head, and insert a square peg so I can get it to fit. And then I had to take off all of Zorana's hair and sculpt all of Claire's hair, which I think turned out pretty good. When I sculpt, I usually use the Aves 2-part epoxy. I have great results with that, so I just kind of stick to it. If I could remake any of the figures I've made, it would be Claire here. I love how she turned out, but since I did use CoverGirl's chest, she's got that square peg, so she can only turn her head left to right. So I'd like to remake her eventually so she can have the full range of movement for her head there, but I've got too many other figures to make. For the back, I used a water decal for Claire's jacket, which turned out great, I think. It is covering the peg or the hole there for the screw, but the water decal comes off really easy, and I can put another one back on with no problems. So I'm a really big fan of those water decals. I think you can get really good print resolution on there, and man, they're really cool the way they look. So here we have the nefarious leader of STAR's Alpha team, Albert Wesker. So for Wesker, I used Mercer version 1's head. I used Gung Ho and General Hawk's legs. I used Falcon's feet, Tollbooth's arms, and I'm not quite sure whose waist that is or whose head that is. I just have a huge bin of parts, and I grabbed what I thought looked best. He took a lot of additional sculpting. So I sculpted the sunglasses, and I sculpted on the earpiece, as you can see there. True 90s style, like he's about to answer phones somewhere. This is Albert Wesker. How may I help you? I sculpted his radio and all the pockets on his vest. Love how he turned out. The colors pop really well. There's the STARS logo, once again on that water decal paper. But there you go. There's Albert Wesker, leader of the STARS Alpha team. Here we have Barry Burton from Resident Evil 1. So he doesn't look like it, but man, he took a lot of work. I used Mutt's waist, Repeater's arms. I used Law's legs and Law's feet, which I resculpted to look more like combat boots. You can see that there. And then I used Mercer version 2's head because he had that great beard. But Mercer's head from version 2 does not fit Mercer's chest from version 1. So I had to cut the neck peg off of one character and attach it to this other character and do some gluing and dremeling and a lot of work, and you can't even tell. But he ended up looking great. Mercer's chest did have a gun holster on there, but it already had kind of like the gun in there, so I just dremeled that off altogether, and I made my own holster, which actually does work, and you've got like a little revolver in there, so that's perfect for Barry. He loves that gun. Once again, you got the STARS logo there on water decal, and I think I added this. I may have sculpted that, but yeah, as far as sculpting, just dremeling the chest down and adding the straps was mostly what I did for him, and then adding that gun holster. But I love how Barry turned out. You were almost a Jill sandwich. I know, Barry, I know. Here we have the legendary Jill Valentine from Resident Evil 1. For Jill here, I used Jinx's torso, Lady J's arms, one of the legs, the head, and the waist. The other leg is Gung Ho. And I used Tollbooth's feet because Tollbooth has those great combat boots there. And then Jill actually took a lot of additional sculpting. You'll hear I use a lot of parts from Lady J when working with a female figure because there aren't a lot of female G.I. Joes to start with. So I use Lady J, Jinx, and Zorana a lot. So I sculpted on her. I dremeled off Lady J's hair and hat, and then I sculpted the beret and Jill's hair. And of course I sculpted all the shoulder pads there and the additional pouches and whatnot. But I really love how this one turned out. You got the stars logo there, again with the water decals, super handy. But yeah, this is another one of my favorites, Jill's Legendary, and I really like how this figure turned out. So here we have Chris Redfield from Resident Evil 1, Jill's partner in the Stars division. For Chris, I used version 1 of Mercer. I used his head. I believe I also used his torso and his waist. I used Tollbooth's arms, Repeater and General Hawk's legs, and I believe I also used Repeater's feet, and then a lot of extra sculpting. So for Chris, I sculpted his knife and knife holster here, as well as his hair. I had to give him that 90s boy band look there with the hair. And of course I sculpted the knee pads. And I think I might have sculpted the extra. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I sculpted the straps there, but I think that was about it for Chris. Really like how he turned out. Here's the Stars logo, once again with the water decals. I kind of wanted to try to get a knife that I could holster, but I just couldn't get that to work out with Chris here. This is Mercer's vest that I had to Dremel down to make smooth and then kind of make it look a little closer to Chris's from his Resident Evil appearance. I used, I believe, Mercer's chest for all the male members of Stars, including Albert and Barry. But yeah, that's Chris. Love how he turned out. So here we have the newest member of the Stars Bravo team, Rebecca Chambers. So Rebecca took a lot of work. I used Zorana's head, Tollbooth's waist, Spirit's feet, Lady J's head, arms, and legs, and then I had to sculpt a bunch. So I had to Dremel off all of Zorana's hair, and then sculpted Rebecca's hair and the bandana there. I sculpted the bag, her little medic bag there. For the feet, I used Spirit's feet, but I had to Dremel them kind of away, so the top of Spirit's boots ended up looking like Rebecca's rolled up pant leg, and then I had to carve the rest of the boots to look like these Converse looking combat boots. So yeah, she took a lot of extra work. But love how she turned out. I think my favorite part on her is this big rescue logo, which again is a water decal. But I'm pretty happy how that bag turned out as well. And there you have Rebecca Chambers of Bravo team. Here we have Hunk, which is my favorite Umbrella operative. Hunk took a lot of extra work, but I think he was well worth it. So Hunk is made out of Beachhead's chest. I used Law's legs. I don't know whose feet they are, but I used an Astro Viper head. I used Ninja Force Slice's waist, and then lots of additional sculpting. So the straps and the bag here I got from the Marauders website. They have a lot of 1/18 scale accessories. So I bought the straps there, and then I had to cut them down and get them to fit my figure here. I had to, you cut them here so you can take the figure apart if you have to change the O-ring or anything. I added a peg over here so I can carry extra weaponry. I believe that's Snake Eyes' Uzi. The backpack I sculpted. I had an extra Crimson Guard backpack that I dremeled down, really just to the peg, and then I sculpted the rest of the backpack out of the Aves epoxy. And then there goes your gun. And then my favorite part of Hunk here is probably this carrying case. Hunk's trying to escape Raccoon City with a copy or with a sample of the G virus. So again, I got this from that Marauders website, but I did alter this one. So if we crack this one open here, you can see inside it has samples of the G virus. These, I believe, came with classified version Dr. Mindbender, which I'm not quite sure what they were supposed to be, vials of some sort. I thought they were perfect for the G virus. So I put in this little foam insert here and carved them out to fit, and there you go. There's Hunk trying to escape Raccoon City with a copy, with a sample of the G virus there. And I absolutely love how he turned out. I think those red eyes are menacing. You got the Umbrella logo. Very cool. And finally, we have Jill Valentine, once again, this time of Resident Evil 3 Remake. So she's made out of Lady J's head, arms, and chest, and Karate Scarlet's waist, which I think was really just a Jinx figure that they redid in white. And then I don't know whose legs they are, but lots of additional sculpting on Jill here. Her weapon is the weapon she uses at the end of the Resident Evil 3 remake. I made that out of the energy weapon that came with classified Roadblock, that first one that came with that energy weapon. So let's take a close look at that here. Take this off if you don't mind, Jill. You can just hang out there. So there's the energy weapon that she uses at the end of the game, made from Roadblock's weapon. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I'm really impressed that she can even hold it, because this thing is pretty heavy, but she holds it pretty well. And then again, I used Lady J's head, which you Dremel off the hat and the hair, so you have to, I sculpted Jill's hair. And then Lady J's chest, which you just kind of sand smooth or Dremel smooth, and then sculpted all the additional, like the buttons and stuff on her shirt there. It's kind of coming out there. And then you've got her straps here I got from Marauders, as well as this strap here. And then I just kind of cut to fit. I sculpted her walkie-talkie there. And her badge is just another water decal, which I affixed to a, I think, piece of plastic. The gun does come out here on the side here. But yeah, love this version of Jill Valentine. Much better than the miniskirt version, I think. I do have plans to make Carlos as well from the Resident Evil 3 remake. That's in the works. I'm also working on making some other figures from other Resident Evil series, but there you have it. And there you have it. That is my Resident Evil custom collection so far. Like I said, I do have several additional characters that I'm working on. I'm working on Ada Wong from the Resident Evil 4 remake. I'm also working on Leon from the Resident Evil 4 remake. And Carlos from the Resident Evil 3 remake. So, those aside, are there any characters that you would like to see made? Let me know down below, and I will try to get to them as soon as I can, because I've got a lot of figures that I'm working on. I've got another video coming soon of my Metal Gear Solid series of customs that I've made so far. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.